Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today's video, going to actually discuss how to better improve your business website. One thing I did with that was to build some automated tests that would actually confirm whether the links on the website, in addition to each of the pages, were actually loading like they should. And come to find out, I had a number of bad links on the website. I think it was well over 100 to 200 of the links that pointed to content internally were actually broken. And so I was like, well, that's a problem. And the reason it's a problem is because search engines rely on your links to be accurate and working. And if they are not accurate and working, then your SEO ranking can actually be impacted because of that. This is more important when your links that point to other pages on your site are not working, because you should know what is where on your site. And bad links indicate you probably don't. That being said, I'm going to show you what I did to address this particular issue. Let's get started. Hey, my name is Kenny and I'm the owner of Robinson Handy and Technology Services based in Montgomery, Alabama. And today's video, we're going to actually do some Selenium WebDriver automation testing and show you what I did to find all of the bad links on my business website, rhtservices.net. All right, so the way this project is structured, I actually have some base tests, attributes, or methods or properties that are included that apply pretty much across the board. So I put all of those into a base class, and one of those items is this method here. It is named Are Internal Links Valid Async, and I'll probably end up taking the async off of there. Granted, it does run asynchronously. The reason that I came up with this method is because I found that, like, I wrote one test and one of those tests was like, well, I don't know where this page comes to or where it goes to. And it came back with a 404 when it clicked the link to go to that page. And I was like, huh? And it's like, that should not happen. And kind of find out the link was really bad and that 404 was valid. So I was like, well, maybe I need to check all the links on every page throughout the entire site. Obviously, I'm not going to do this by hand. And so I was like, well, let's just write some automated tests that can do this. And I came up with this method after doing some research on how to do that efficiently. So this method takes in the URL. So you go to a particular page, whatever that is, and I'll show you the actual how this method is called in a moment. But you go to the page that is provided in, and we have a counter here to keep track of how many pages were not found by their links. So meaning the links are bad or broken. Then once you go to that page, you get a list of all, or well, I'm not going to say a list. You get a collection of all of the anchor tags on that particular page, and you put it into a variable called links. Then we're going to use HTTP client. Now, the reason I'm using HTTP client is so when you go and pull up things in Selenium, each element on a page gets a unique identifier. You can put those unique identifiers into a variable. The problem is with Selenium, when you go to a different page or the page changes after you've loaded and set those things in that variable, the references to the new elements on the page or the changes on the page are now broken. And so what happens is Selenium will tell you what you have is now stale. Like, it literally marks everything in that variable stale. Even though that stuff may still be on the page, because the page has changed, it is now classified as being stale. And for that reason, Selenium will not go and select that element because it now has a stale reference to whatever it's pointing to. That being said, there had to be a different way. So I did some research and I found somebody that did it, use Selenium in Java. Basically, he used a client, HTTP client, the Java version of it, that is, to be able to check the response code from the HTTP client for every link. And so this is what I've done. So we hold all of the links on a particular page into a variable, and then we go through each of those links using HTTP client and look at the response code. If there is a link that points to somewhere else other than this particular website, we don't want to check that. Basically, you don't check external links. All right, and so once we do that, then we come down here to the actual work being done. And so we're going to get the href attribute of the link, of the anchor tag, and then we get the value from that. So that's what this does, and we're going to call that route. And then we're going to take that route and pass it to the get async method of HTTP client, and then we're going to get the response. And then if the response is not a success code, then we know that link is bad. So basically, if it's like a 404, 403, you get the idea. Then we're going to log that to the console, and then we're going to increment the not found page counter so that we know how many pages have had issues. Now, because HTTP client can throw in an exception, we're going to catch that exception to make sure that it checks all the links on the page. There may be a different way of doing this, and if you have a different way of doing this, please comment with that idea down below, because I may actually end up implementing it. But for right now, I don't want any exceptions being thrown by HTTP client and letting them go unhandled. So I just put that there to make sure all exceptions are captured. After we go through all of the links, then we will return whether all the internal links are valid or not with a true or false. Now, how is this implemented in actual test? All right, so I'm going to go here I'm going to pick a test, one of these tests. All right, so we have the barn door installation. All right, and so actually, no, let's do this one. So let's do this one. Let's do the index page. So if you go to rhtservices.net/services, this will be the test that confirms everything on that page is working correctly. So what it does, there's a method in the base class that says go to the home page, which is rhtservices.net. Then we will find the element that, we'll find the link that says all services, and it will be clicked. And then we want to get the page title for the resulting page. So we're going to pull up the h1 tag for that page and put that into a variable to say put that into a variable called actual title. Then we're going to run the method that we just discussed, which is to check all the internal links and make sure that they are valid. We're going to put that in a result, and then we're going to make sure that result is true. And then we're also going to check that the actual title is the expected title, which is that method here. All right, so if I run this test, and I'm not going to run the whole test suite because the whole test suite takes about 5 to 10 minutes to actually complete, given the amount of content on the website. So I'm only going to run this single test. So as you see, it's going to the services page. It behind the scenes is not going to show anything, but and I can actually pull this window over here too. So because I'm running this locally, I can show you that it is actually checking all of the links internally that are on this particular page. And so as you see, it went to that particular page and then it checked the links there. Now some links are missing, but for the most part, it checked all of the links. And so as you see down here, if we come down to the bottom, we see that one test was performed and that one test did pass. And so that's how it confirms that everything is working the way it should. Now, if I were to go in here and change one of those links to, let's say, let me rename this contact page. So we'll name it contact A just for the sake of testing. And then we come back and run this test. Where is it? Services test, and run it again. This time it should fail and it will give an output of the links that are actually bad. All right, so it's going to the services page. It's doing the HTTP GET behind the scenes. I probably should have pulled that up yeah, so there we go. And so as you see, the contact page linked through a 404. And if we come down here to our console for the test runner, you see the invalid URL messages, and it says these are all invalid URLs, to which then you would go in and you can check, hey, is this actually legit? Which it is, and then correct it accordingly. So that's how this essentially works. And it's done. I'm doing this for every single page that I have on the website. And that's the reason why I had it set up in that particular internal links method was in the base class, so that I can call it from every class and I can check the links on every single page on the website to ensure that they are working correctly. This was very helpful because I had well over 200, if not more, links that had that issue and that had to be corrected. That being said, hopefully the SEO of the website does improve, but if it doesn't, well, hey, at least I know everything is working, and that way if you or any other customer were to come by and check it out, they can actually see that, hey, this link actually does work and everything is good with this website. That will wrap things up for this video. If you have any questions related to what you've seen in this video or questions related to Selenium WebDriver, please drop a comment down below. I'll be glad to answer them, and possibly, if your question actually is worthy enough, maybe even make a video about it in the future. Thank you for checking this out. Visit rhtservices.net if you have more questions. Also, you can check out the Facebook and Instagram at RHT Services LLC. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe. See you later.